Hey everybody, it's Sean for the Good Dog, and we've got the one and the only Miss Foosa again.
Foosa.
Miss Foosa is the star currently of our, what is it? Our
E-collar heel.
E-collar heel video, thank you. And so she's such a rock star that we figured we might as well follow it up with a little e-collar place command. So she's been here 3 days. First day we just worked leash and prong for some walk stuff just to kind of get her in the ballpark. And then yesterday we did some duration work, leash and prong place command, a lot of duration work, and got her really familiar with just place, knowing what the word means, knowing to stay in one spot, which was a little bit challenging for her at first, but she's got a really good hang of it. And so she spent about an hour and a half, you know, both active and duration. So she's got a good handle, and so now we're going to just do e-collar stuff. So I bring her up, I pause. If you've seen my prong collar video, it's very similar to that. I walk up, pause, the dog needs to wait for information. I've got a level on her that I think is, I've got a pretty good handle on that she not only senses it, but she actually cares about it. We're at 16 on the educator. So I'm going to give the command, I'm going to, let's see if I can say this all right. I'm going to give the command, I'm going to press the button simultaneously, and then I'm going to walk and usher her onto the mat. As soon as she's on the mat, all four paws, I'm going to come off the button, simultaneously marking it with good. It sounds like a lot, but when you see it, it's pretty simple. It's just kind of a timing thing. So it's going to be place, button, movement, she's on it, off the button, good. Place, good. Let's go. Then we use let's go as the release or the command to move with me. It's kind of our loose leash kind of thing. We use it for thresholds, crate, and anything that's not super specific like a heel position, which has got to be, you know, in a distinct spot. So place, guidance with the leash. Good. Right? So she loves to wander around. Yesterday our biggest challenge was she didn't want to come on this mat, this giant, really cushy mat. She didn't want to be anywhere near it. So she still has a little bit of hesitation where she kind of like will try and go off the edge or something like that. So I said, place. I pressed the button, I held it, and then I started to guide her. She went kind of a different direction, continued with the button, and then just guided her gently with the leash. It's not a correction thing with the leash, it's nothing firm, it's really gentle guidance, right? So I want her to sense this, and then I want her to be, how do I turn this off? And I say, you turn this off by walking onto here. And then as soon as she's on here, off the button, good. And she's like, oh, that makes sense, this is so easy, why didn't you tell me earlier? Right? Let's go. So walk up, pause. Is that a close-up for her?
It's just above.
Place. Good. Let's go. Place. Guidance. Good. Right? So she did the same thing, right? She tried to wander this way. I just stayed on the button and guided her. Now I'm going to stop talking a little bit. I'm going to try and get into a groove with her, because if I keep pausing, then she kind of loses her upward arc mojo of actually learning. Let's go. Look up, pause, place. Good. Let's go. I give her a little bit of extra reward. She's in a good state of mind. She's like relaxed and sweet and submissive and nice. So I actually kind of reward that. If she was not in a good space, I would just mark it with good and be very neutral, matter of fact, and just move on. But she's giving me a really nice thing, so I can actually interact with her more, and I'm not reinforcing anything I don't want to. Place. Dial up a little bit. Good. Actually, I just went up just by one. But what I'm looking for is when I say place and press the button, she should be actively looking, not in a panic, but she should be actively looking for a solution for how do I turn this off. And if I press the button and she's like, then I know that level's not really motivating for her. So once again, we got to find that real sweet spot of not so much that she's freaked out by it, but not so much that she just ignores it and it underwhelms her to where she doesn't care. So we're really looking for that sweet spot where she's like, I'd like to know how to turn this off. And then we say, this is how you turn it off. Let's go. Place. Good. Girl. Good girl. Remember, guys, here's a good point. When you say place, make sure you don't stand in one position and try and joystick the dog onto the mat, right? We're not trying to do this. The more you do this, especially early on, the more you'll cause the dog to shut down and resist the pressure. So we're actually using our body to give the information about where we want her to go rather than strong-arming her onto there. That's a real easy mistake to make. You say place, press the button, and then try and do this, and the dog just pushes back a ton. And so if you notice, there's very little, the only time I'm putting any pressure on the leash is when she's like pulling away from me right here, like this. But watch. Place. Good. Good. My finger actually popped off the button. That wasn't intentional. Just kind of popped off. But you see what I was talking about right there. Let's go. Place. Good. That's a girl. So I'm going to go back down a little bit. She seems like she's hopping too and motivated and jumping right on there. Let's go. Come with pause. Place. Good. So you notice, right? So my body moves up here. There's next to no leash pressure on the leash. Just enough for guidance. It's really just a whisper like, come this way, rather than get over here, which is a totally different thing. I would rather be leaning more on e-collar pressure and less on this. So my approach specifically is that I want more the dog doing more of the work than me doing the work with the leash. So in order for that to happen, I've got to find the right level on the e-collar that motivates her to want to do more of the work, and so I'm not just kind of dragging her around, something like that. Let's go. She's doing really good. She's actually committing really nicely to the spot. So, and you see there's like dogs around. You know, this is a guy or a lady that was just having problems with dogs, and like here's a guy right here in her space. It's pretty awesome. Place. Good. She's not trying to overshoot, right? Or is she? No, that's good. That was her most distracted one. I was actually giving her props and then she went and got distracted. Let's go. So you'll notice as I move through the process, I'll start to kind of challenge her more as I feel like she's more solid with it. You'll see me start to add a little more speed. You'll see me add some distractions by moving past the mat and challenging a little bit. I won't put any pressure on the leash, but I'll kind of step past her to force her to make a decision or a distinction of like, Sean's moving past me. Do I follow him or do I stay here on this mat? And the work I want her to do is I want her to stay on the mat regardless of where I'm at. So initially I'm using my body to give guidance, saying this is where I want you, and then I start to move towards this is something separate of where my body is independent. Place. Guidance. Good. Let's go. Walk up. Pause. Place. Good. And you notice that when she gets to the edge and she looks like she might step off, I don't clamber over here and block her or spatial pressure her back onto the mat. I want her to make the decision, and if she steps off there, it's actually a great opportunity for me to say, place, press the button, and for her to go, oh, I really have to stay on there. Even after I've gotten on the mat and I hear good, I still am not allowed to move off there. So don't try and prohibit mistakes, because the mistakes are actually where she's going to learn the most. So we want to do it in increments. I don't want to move too fast and correct her for mistakes, but I also want to give her the opportunity to learn and make distinctions about the mat versus the floor. Let's go. Place. Good. Good. So now that she's got it, she's pausing with me every time, and she's actually doing really well with the mat. Now I'm going to add the next level of challenge, which is more movement straight onto it without the pause. So if you think about it, if you walk up slowly, you stop and you pause, say the command, usher the dog on, give the marker. You're doing it in very simple bite-sized steps, which makes it very easy for the dog to learn, right? There's a lot of clarity. My body, just pressure from the e-collar, the verbal marker, all those things are information telling her what we want her to do. Now we start to make it a little more challenging because we're going to add more movement to it. So now she's going to have to be thinking on her feet a little bit. She's going to actually have to, have a little more distraction and hold herself back with a little more movement. So it's just another level of the challenge. Let's go. Place. Good. You notice I take a step further. I'm actually closer to the edge of the mat, so that's another level of distraction. Nothing severe because I added movement, so I'm not going to go too fast, but I am going to ask a little bit of her, especially because although she's a little bit of a nervous girl, she's not a highly anxious dog. So if she was highly anxious and really struggling emotionally, I'd move even slower and I'd demand even less and I'd add distractions in slower increments. But because you can see she's a pretty solid girl, she's not struggling with a lot of noise in her head, so I'm able to actually move her through the process a little bit more briskly than a dog that was really challenged with just coping with being here. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's go. Once again, we're going to keep the movement up. Place. Good. She makes the decision. I don't do it. Place. You guys get to see that? Right? So, I stepped here. She was frozen in time. Do I do it? Do I do it? What do I do? And you could see she was trying to make the decision. She thought about it for a long time. She actually placed her foot on the ground. I said place and pressed the button and held it. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I just moved my body just a teeny bit this way to give her information about, I want you to back up, and she did it real nice, real easy. So that's a nice example of how we create some distinctions early on for the dog about what we're looking for, as far as even after we say good and you're on the mat, doesn't mean you step off, whether I move forward or anything like that. Right? Let's go. Come on, lady. Place. Good. Major distraction outside, right? Resident snotty dogs out front. Wow. Good. Everybody see the decision? Did you guys see that paw? Did you? So, notice that I actually walked further past the mat. So, once again, I'm challenging incrementally a little bit more. This is all based on the dog in front of me, right? Once again, it's imperative to understand that I'm doing everything I'm doing based on her. So if she was struggling really hard with this, I'd be moving slower. Because she's pretty solid already, I'm able to challenge her a little bit more briskly, and you see she's making better decisions, even with very little. I can't even call it correction, but even with very little, whatever we're going to call it, getting back on the button with pressure when she stepped off prior to that. So I walked up, said place, she got on, I marked it with good, got off the button, I stepped a little bit past like this to add a little bit more level of challenge to it. She went like this, and then she thought, and then she remembered our last conversation, she said, ah, and she actually cleaned it up herself. You notice I stayed kind of frozen in time. I didn't give any information with the leash. I actually made sure the leash was even looser because I wanted her to do it all on her own. I didn't want to say, hey, go back over here. At that point, that's decision-making time for her. So I really want her to have to do this stuff on her own and make her own decisions and her own mistakes so she can work through the process. Early on, when she doesn't understand what it is, then I give her more information. Let's go. Place. Good. Place. Little guidance with the body and leash. Good. Right? Everybody see? I was on the button the whole time, right? So or at least from the whole time from when I said place the second time when she stepped off. So I walked past, she stepped off, I said place, I held the button, she didn't immediately jump back on, so what did I do? Then I give her help, I give her guidance, I move my body like this, and a little tiny bit of leash guidance, this is where I want you to be, and she cleans it up straight away. Let's go. Good girl. Once again, we're at 15 on the mini educator. Come on, lady. Place. Good. Nope. Place. So, just like I said, I'll make a determination when I decide that no is more helpful than place. Place. Good. Good girl. Good girl, that's nice. All right, so we only have a few more minutes left on the machine here, so I'm going to kind of speed things up and see what we get. Let's go. A little more challenge. See how she does. Place. Good. Decision time. It's my biggest challenge, right? You guys see how far past her I am? I'm actually facing her, which can create engagement, right? She's got the leash moving forward. All that is decision making. I don't know if you can see her, Laura. So she's sitting here making decisions. She's looking at the ground. She's going, should I stay on here? What should I do? Right? So check it out. All this, nope, place. There we go, right? So she stepped off. I actually kind of set her up by moving around a little bit. I had a feeling she might step off. Another opportunity to create clarification and clarity for her about what we want from this command. She stepped off, I said no, place. She started to move back. I actually gave her more guidance with the leash and with my body to help clarify where I wanted her. Let's go. Place. Good. So you guys can see where I'm at, Laura. So this is my biggest challenge so far, distance-wise, right? So when I'm really, really feeling good and pretty solid, then I'll say place, I'll move pretty briskly, and I'll drop the leash, and I'll walk on by. I mark it still with good when she's in the right spot, and then I keep moving. That really tells me how much clarity she has of the command, that when there's full distraction of movement like this, and I'm coming the same direction she's coming, that she holds herself back. Nice. Let's go. Very nice. Very nice. A couple more and we'll wrap her up. Place. Good. Decision time. See? Check it out. She's trying to figure it out. What you gonna do, lady? So we'll let her make these mistakes if she wants, right? I'm not gonna say yes or no or do any of that. I'll just kind of let her figure it out on her own. This is one of those moments where it's helpful for her to figure it out on her own. Yeah. Now I don't let her figure out how to turn the pressure off, but I do let her figure out decision-making time. When she knows what's asked of her, then I'll let her make decisions. Let's go. Looking pretty great, lady. Pretty great. Place. Good. Decision. You can tell she's not totally committed. She's trying to figure it out. We'll let her decide what she wants to do. Move around her a little bit, see if that makes it any more challenging. Ah, very nice. Very nice. So that's place command, guys. That's the beginnings of place command. And I did lots of reps, and I did them kind of slow, and just to kind of show you guys how to do all this stuff. I didn't go to corrections. That'll be a ways down the line. That'll be probably in the next couple of days when she's really comfortable and there's a ton of clarity. Then I can ask for that. But right now, compared to heel, the motion for heel is a lot more simple. This is a more complex one, so I tend to move a little slower as far as when I demand accountability and when I'll go to corrections and things like that. But that's e-collar place command. This is Miss Foosa, And she's looking pretty great, and we'll just keep you posted. We'll, hopefully shoot some more videos with her so you can kind of see the whole process of how we do this. You don't get to see a lot of the e-collar portion of the learning program, so we'll see if we can get some more stuff for you guys. So that's it. See you guys.